Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Good day, everybody. Today I have chosen a topic for supply chain convo, Pareto principle, and supplier-based evaluation on the basis of Pareto principle. That is 80-20 rule. So from this 80-20 rule, ABC categorization of suppliers and the core suppliers or strategic suppliers and non-strategic suppliers evaluation. So let's see how we can work with this method in a realistic manner in our real business life. Pareto principle for supplier-based analysis. Here we can see that the Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule. What is this 80-20 rule? Before that, let's understand who is Mr. Pareto. Mr. Pareto is Vilfredo Pareto. He's basically an Italian economist, socialist, and political scientist who evaluate his country's wealth of the nation scenario on the basis of that 80% of the country's wealth is captured by 20% of the people. On that very basis, he have developed this Pareto principle, which almost applies to anything and everything. While we are talking with the Pareto principle, it shows that 20% efforts gives 80% result. And if we can differently evaluate that or specify that, so Pareto noticed that approximately 80% of the results of outcomes comes from 20% of the causes or inputs. So if we just convert this in our supply chain language or supply chain field, we can in the procurement field we can successfully imply this that 20% of the suppliers is accountable for 80% of the procurement spends. On this very basis, we can have an evaluation of 80-20 rule, which is 80% is strategic suppliers and 20% are the general suppliers. So let's see in the very right corner where we have the suppliers named as supplier 1 to 10. Let's suppose a company is having 10 suppliers and having an yearly spends of $10 million. So the suppliers in 80-20 rule, it will generally be found that the 20% of the suppliers are accountable for 80% of the spends. That means the two suppliers, 20%, that means two suppliers are accountable of 80% spends, which is $8 million. On the other hand, the rest 8 suppliers are accountable for 20% of spends, that is $2 million. So this is how the total accumulation is. And this can further be break down into 3 categories like ABC, which is 80, 15, and 5. That means the 80% spends, 15% spends, and 5% spends. So if we can go to the detail, we can see that 20% of the suppliers, that is 2 suppliers, are accountable for 80% of spends. 30% of the suppliers, that is 3 suppliers, are accountable for 15% of spends. And rest 50% of the suppliers are accountable for 5% of spends. On this very basis, we can classify ABC by the suppliers. At the same time, we can understand which is our strategic suppliers or core suppliers on where we need to concentrate, give our best effort to have a better result. Then who are the mid-category suppliers and who are the suppliers who are basically low spending suppliers and need not to be very closely taken care of, and we will have very transactional relationship with them. For the mid suppliers, we can have hands-length suppliers relationship with them, and for the A class or the strategic supplier, we need to have collaborative relationship. So this is how we can explain the ABC classification of suppliers on the basis of Pareto principle. Hope this helped you. Let me know in your comments if there is anything I can help you out or this was helpful. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.